Hello everyone, Justin from Out of the Basement here again to bring you another Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch action figure review. This is going to be Crosshair from the upcoming series Star Wars The Bad Batch. Of course, The Bad Batch was introduced in Season 7 of the Clone Wars, that first arc, which was pretty good, so I'm really excited for the new series. The standard Black Series packaging, you got the Black Series logo up here. Beautiful looking figure in the window here. Star Wars The Bad Batch, Crosshair. On the side you have that wonderful profile image of Crosshair. On the back you can see it is number 2 in The Bad Batch. Number 1 is of course Hunter. Make sure to check out that review. There's also a little bio up on the top. If you'd like to read that, go ahead and pause it there. Black Series logo on the top, side stripe, Black Series logo, and top window. Let's crack it open. First things first, we're going to be taking a look at these accessories. I want to jump right in and look at this one first. This is pretty unique to the Black Series. We've never had this weapon before. The stock is super long. It's all pretty much like a dark gunmetal gray look to it. If you zoom in, you can ever so slightly see like that sparkle that really dark gray uses. It's pretty good looking, really decent mold. I really like all the details. Pegs out right there, because it's the way you can store this in the backpack, and then of course it just pegs right back in. Very sturdy. Speaking of that backpack, let's take a look at that. I don't know if I'd call this a backpack. It's more of like a sniper rifle gun holder, blaster holder, doohickey thing. Of course, you got the peg right back there. It stands on the figure this way, so the peg looks like that. And let's see, you can slide this right in that way. And then there's actually a peg that I forgot to mention right there on that half, where you can peg it right there. You see the hole, and that is how the blaster is put away storage. So really cool weapon storage. I also like the molded detail here in the gray and the bits of red striping that we get right there. Looks pretty decent. We also have the clone blaster pistol. This figure actually does have weapon storage for it. There is a holster, unlike the Hunter. Works really well. And here is the Crosshair helmet, which looks pretty awesome. I really like the contrast between the gray and the black of the lower apparatus here and the visor, and these ever so slight little bits of black paint as well. You got the red stripe. Rangefinder is articulated. Rangefinder also is gray and a little bit of black near the top. Really like the black on the lower part right here, a little bit more black. Pretty awesome helmet mold. Here is Crosshair out of the packaging, and I gotta say, it's a pretty dope looking figure. Pretty much on the same quality level as the Hunter for sure. There is a lot of good detailing on this guy, a lot of good paint, but let's take a look at that photoreal head. The photoreal head is amazing. That is a pretty good translation from the animated style to the more realistic looking of the Black Series figures. Love the gray hair that Crosshair has. Of course, you have this tattoo of a crosshair over his right eye, and it's a very clean, just a super clean photoreal application done to the face. Taking a look at the other detail, I really like this texture right here on this torso piece. Of course, you got a logo right here. There's a bunch of scratches and just wear and tear all over this guy's armor, of course. There is the peg hole for the backpack holder. You got this leather holster strap as well, looking pretty good. A very, very dark brown. There's some nice silver right here with these. They almost look like shotgun shells or slugs, but I'm sure that's not what they are. Some really nice chrome silver down here for the belt piece. Just all around you can see this wear and tear, like right down here, these shin guards that like just roughed up tears. The Bad Batch has been in plenty of battles. You got the feet down here. I like the red. I love the contrast between the red, the gray, and the dark gray. Just all around pretty great paint application and just great attention to detail. They even continued a lot of that scuffing and scratch marks on the back of the figure as well. Looks just as great with the helmet on. all around great looking figure visually. Let's of course get into articulation. As I mentioned earlier, the rangefinder does move down. This figure's articulation is just as good as the Hunter's, of course. It's pretty amazing. You have that dumbbell head and neck articulation, that separate neck articulation that you got going on side to side of that as well. So you have plenty of tilt both ways, rotates all the way around, looks up that high, pretty decent amount, looks down super low, really decent amount. Let's see if the helmet hinders anything we got going on. Still has all the same articulation, of course, just with the helmet. You can look up about pretty high for a helmeted, pretty low for a helmet. So the helmet, of course, does not hinder anything. You still get that great head tilt all around, rotate everything. These shoulder guards, that armor is very soft, rubbery plastic. So of course you can rotate all the way around, but you're gonna want to put these, back in place like so. So you can put the arms all the way out like they are supposed to. You definitely get more than a 90-degree angle at the elbow bend. Of course, you got those butterfly joints. A lot of the times they're just really hard to see in these reviews, but they are there. So you get that really nice back and inner motion. Lower arm also rotates like so. The hands rotate all around. And on the left hand, the gripping hand, it is the horizontal hinge because he holds the rifle. In his right hand is the trigger finger hand that rotates all around, and it is the vertical hinge. So great job, Hasbro. Vertical hinges on the gunslinger hand. At the lower chest armor, that's where you're gonna get your ab crunch right here, as you can see. So he crunches about that far down and about that far back, and of course, you get that rotating motion. Also, with the help of the legs, it bends down about that far, and then you got your ab crunch. Speaking of the legs, you got rotation up at the thigh. If you rotate the legs, of course, you can kick out wildly, but you do have to rotate the legs for that. Same thing when you're going back. Single jointed knee, that hides the joint thankfully, but the knee guard does not go with the knee. I know that's an issue for a lot of people. The lower leg does rotate, of course. Foot goes that far down, that far up. You have that ankle pivot. The weapon holder plugs right into the back like so. And this is how you can have that weapon stored. I guess there's a few different ways you can put this part of the blaster into it. You can go the lower approach like that, or flip it around and do it the other way. I'm not sure I remember how it looks in the series. Actually getting Crosshair to hold and aim down the sights of his weapon is actually a little more difficult than I would like. It's because this stock of the weapon is so big, it just, when you bury it in the shoulder, there's not that much room for this hand to actually grip on. So it's not as easy as I would like for this guy to get in like a shooting pose and aim down the sights, but from certain angles it looks absolutely stunning. It's not a fault to the figure, it's just because this weapon is accurate and the stock is so long. So he has a little tiny bit of a rough time aiming down the sights. Regardless, I am sure there are tons of people who are going to get far greater poses than I could do. With that in mind, this figure is still just absolutely amazing. It looks very, very satisfying on the shelf. I'm a big fan of the articulation. The paint apps are exactly what they are supposed to be, and there is so much scuffing on this guy. Like even right here, I don't know if I pointed that out earlier, there's just a lot of scrapes and scuffing. So the paint and details I am pretty satisfied with. The articulation I am satisfied with. Let's make some comparisons. What other comparison could I possibly start out with other than Hunter? And if you look closely, you can actually tell that this top piece is actually different from the Hunter. This is a little more angled on the chest plate. This is a little more smooth. So this is actually some different mold going on. Of course, there's different mold with like the shoulder armor and everything, but even torso wise, like I'm sure the legs, lower half of the body, basically, yeah, it's the same. However, the upper torso actually is some different mold going on, which is awesome. The Elite Squad Trooper, which is a secret banger of this wave, a certified banger. I love the mashup of that figure, the lower half being the old clone legs and the upper new clone body. Really like that figure. Here is Captain Rex if you wanted to do a little recreating of the Clone Wars Season 7 arc, or perhaps even the Bad Batch, because he does show up in the trailer. The archive release of Anakin Skywalker, and since he shows up in the trailer for the Bad Batch, here is Grand Moff Tarkin. At the end of the day, this is just further proof that the Black Series, Hasbro has just been absolutely killing it lately. This entire wave was pretty grade A, and it does not stop with Crosshair. They've just been doing such a good job with articulation, paint, and detail, and just overall satisfying shelf presence, which is exactly what Crosshair has. I knew what I was getting because of the Hunter figure, so I'm not like going absolutely crazy and wild in this review, but it deserves that crazy and wild hype. Especially that it's one per case, so it's a little more rare. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. The articulation is great, the paint and detail is pretty fantastic, the photoreal head is amazing, the accessories are really good, and again, my only little minor complaint is that I actually wasted a lot of time in this review trying to, well, not a lot of time in the review, but a lot of time that I had to edit out in this review is just me trying to pose him with the blaster sniper rifle, which I am not the greatest action figure poser reviewer out there. Nate is much better than I, so I'm not gonna say that's like a negative of my thoughts on the figure because I was just playing around with it for a few minutes. I'm sure if I toy around with it a little more, I can get a much more dynamic pose with that sniper. But it was just a little frustrating to get his trigger finger hand in there and the stock is so long, etc. But that's not necessarily a knock on the figure. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you guys pick this up? Are you still waiting on this wave? What do you guys think of the figure? Think he looks good, etc.? Let me know whatever you guys want to say in the comments down below. I've been Justin from Out of the Basement, and we will see you guys next time.